is that NaVi vote so high?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but NaVi are actually playing well now, right? Not only are they playing well, which is obviously a very hot take on a lot of the happenings in EUL right now, but it seems like Rogue have shown up perfectly, if you ask me, over the past few days, but it took them a while to get started. Then when you finally go up against the big teams like NaVi, who is now number 2 in the league, you wouldn't be judged as a fan, especially when you're watching and seeing, well, you know what, if I look at NaVi's performance over the stage, they should have every single advantage. And I understand that point of view. It makes a ton of sense when you look at it from that way. And, you know, Clubhouse, what sort of bans do we have? Ace and Maverick are out. We're left with the old school. We got Thermite, we got Habana, we got Thatcher. Thatcher is not banned, by the way. Imagine that, Jess.
You know what? We have been seeing so many maps where Thatcher's in play. And guess what? People aren't avoiding it anymore. They're actually adding it to their compositions, to the point where teams like Team Empire, who never changed their compositions, started 6-picking into the Thatcher on Clubhouse just games ago. Mira goes out, Valkyrie as well, Valkyrie being one of the most banned operators in all of EUL. And it looks like we will have a pretty new standard composition here on bans where teams will get to take the Thatcher and there won't be a lot of opportunity to keep those walls closed for very long.
There's some teams, like we saw it in our last game, some players will be a bit more ballsy and they'll play like Bandit even without the Clyde, and they'll try to trick a wall here and there, but most of the time it's just not going to work. Habana is way stronger than what she was before Ace and Maverick were introduced. You have the ability to open up micro holes, as I'd call them, through the wall, really Swiss cheese the hell out of it, and it allows you to contest anybody that's playing behind it. And there it is. NaVi are just going to go completely away from that idea. They'll go for the Mozzie and the Mute combination. It's as classic as it gets for a Church defense. And, of course, they're going to set up their whoop-whoops all over the place with Blur bringing them a Lucy.
Not a surprise that Blur's bringing them a Lucy. It has been his fan favorite from almost the beginning of EUL. He is one of the highest rated on the side of NaVi, behind Doki, purely out of his 1vx potential. If you watch the Consulate game, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But nevertheless, this is a very important game, more so for the side of Rogue, but some people will argue that it's more for NaVi in trying to maintain one of that top 3 position, because if Vitality start kicking off, if Rogue keep kicking off as the way that they will lose that top 3 position before they know it. So points here for both teams important, but ever so important for the resurgence of the Rogue as we know it.
Yeah, you never know what's going to happen. The separation is around 4 points between number 6 and number 2. That is not a lot of wiggle room, so you got to be real careful. Despite how well NaVi has been playing, Rogue are catching up. Vitality, G2, you know, these guys are right up behind them, and slipping today would give Rogue too big of a margin with 2 play days left on the weekend. So here we are on the attacking side, as classic as it gets for a Church defense. There are, however, some players a bit outside of the site. You've seen that, and Doki a bit off, and they will return down onto site through blue. Rips is going to open up the dirt walk-in, and that's unusual, but you have Habana, so you don't have to worry about hatches and getting those open, right?
Yeah, that's the good thing about it. I mean, when you've got an Ace ban, if you don't also ban the Habana in unison, don't worry, you'll have her to work with. You'll have the exothermics. Not often that you see a double hard bridge ban, and when you do, it tends to be the secondary hard bridge like a Maverick, etc. So that's what we've got here. The Ace coming off the board. Yes, it hurts teams that are used to using it. Yes, it'll take away the smokes that he has, but you've still got so much, a plethora of opportunities to open up hatches. Even the secondary hard bridge gadget on Capitao or Lion, for example, Milosh,
that's true.
There is still options. So I don't think teams are going to be too worried about, you know, double hard bridge bans. Nevertheless, NaVi, I like this triple wall opening. What do you think about it? A lot of teams like to close it all up. I kind of like it.
If you know that you're not going to be dealing with Ace Maverick, I understand, because obviously they're both banned. It makes sense that you would open up if you want to contest, because the hatches are suddenly the destructible items that you're going to be seeing opened up ASAP, right? That's the advantage of bringing the Havana, bringing in the Thatcher just in case. Now, because of that Thatcher being in play, it just means they're going to have to forfeit blue very quickly. And that's exactly what's happened here. Grenades just in case to clear out any ADSs that have been set and disabled by the EMP. There was already nothing in there. Clear it out. Aces will slowly walk into blue, collect one, but he's already fragged back by Blur. Doki's already taken down Corey, and we're in a 4v3 with 47 seconds left. It's really heating up, but I guess both teams are calming down for just a moment and droning about.
You can see Crying there. He's a little bit worried that might have been a Mozzie drone there. So he looked at it for a good second until he realized it went outside where, well, Mozzie drones can't go. They get deactivated. It's going to be Saves deep in Armory and secretly holding on with the shotgun. No more Smoke Babes left. So Dirt Tunnel has to be his domain. He's going to have to hit his shot here. He'll pre-fire around and he'll collect one for the trouble. And now it's a 4v2. And when you're going down to the dying 15 seconds here, Milosh, unless you hit every single shot, it's going to be worse for wear. And yes, it is. There we go. In our game between NaVi and Rogue, it'll be NaVi to take the first round. And some people will say, but yeah, isn't it defensive sided? Well, guess what? Clubhouse statistically over this season and this stage is actually 51% attacking sided.
That is for every single site, isn't it?
I mean, that's for the whole map as a whole.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like map as a whole. Do you have the stats for individual
you know what, Milosh? I wouldn't be a good color caster if I didn't.
Oh my God.
Which site would you like me to reference?
Let's go with Church first.
Okay.
We're all praying on a good game here.
58% defensive sided, the most defensive sided out of all of the sites on the map.
Not shabby. Gym Bedroom?
Gym Bedroom, the second most defensive sided with 53%.
Cash?
The most attacking sided by far, down at 74%.
For the attacker as well. That is actually insane. And just for Hap, bar stock.
0-0, no stats. So
he literally does not stop talking about it. So that's kind of the disadvantage that we get when we're going through Clubhouse. I'm excited to see though how this specific site plays out between the two, because it got a bit sloppy near the end. I know Rogue tried to open that entry into Dirt Tunnel, but unfortunately the timing from the different players kind of waiting to push into sight and pressure from the back, especially that blue drop that you just saw, it was mistimed. It didn't work out well, and NaVi had their hard power positions that they were holding on to. Very difficult to push them out of it. Now, what are they doing? NaVi, that is. Doki is sitting inside a bedroom. He can peek out if he would like to, because there's a Habana in play, Leon in that case. You would expect that the Habana would go and pressure from garage. So open up that small hole at the top of the garage door, and from there kind of contest the window. That's what Doki's trying to check here, if there's anybody on the rappel or to deal with it. But look how far away Leon is. They're on the nose of this. Like, they know what's going on here, Rogue, but they got to be careful to not spend too much time to deal with Doki.
that'll be the big thing. Do you commit to clearing him because you want to do a pinch push? Sure, no problems. He'll get that main stairs rotate drone, and well, that's going to be a good pick there because that was the preset drone to deal with anyone who was flanking. He's got rid of it. They'll have to replace it. That's a hard thing to do. And if you look over to the side of Rogue, they actually don't have a lot of drones. In fact, I think there's only barely one drone per player left, and that's going to cut you down when you're trying to get intel on the site later on into the round. Mind you, we're only a minute 10 into the round. So losing that many drones early on is a really good thing for NaVi. It obviously means they're picking drones up early in the round. And then for Rogue, I don't know. Can we get a confirmation? I believe it's medics on the camera right now. Can we get a confirmation? Is platform opened up? No, they haven't dealt with this. Is this a one-dimensional push into con?
Oh, no.
That's an unusual one.
Oh no, that can be difficult, especially as you mentioned, not having the right information. Some bits were burned off here with the Habana charge, unfortunately, and can Blur, no, he cannot deal with the opposite side here on server. It is basically pulling the attention away from NaVi onto construction, and that would allow them, Rogue that is, to also open up the opposite end into server using the thermite. The good old combination Habana thermite will work out well, but you got 3 drones left, all 3 of them deployed. What can you do against NaVi that are very entrenched right now? Nitro is out and it's spotted. Does a ton of damage on a Corey on the Ash, but he's still alive in the back, going down on the floor. Leon on the opposite side, Empelar peeks out quick to find the headshot. He's getting some info and finds the second onto Leon, suddenly dropped inside of construction, and Cryan is left solo now inside of that small cubby. Blur hits him.
Ooh.
Man, honestly, what is going on? Construction more like destruction. Aces on his own here. Solo between the windows, and Blur is going to try to find yet another one. The drone is down, or the diffuser is down as well as the drone, and he flicks off to the quad kill for Blur. It's only Rips left alive. An unfortunate situation for Rogue to find themselves in, but if damage done onto saves, and there's the peek from Blur. Denied the ace in the situation as all the Pokeballs are flying to Cash. Rips. It'll be Doki to collect the last, rotating back on site with a Malusi. Beautiful 4K from Blur. You kept peeking him one by one. You know it's not going to work.
I love how all of the rest of Navi, Milosh just stopped peeking. They all just held angles and like, oh, he's down on platform. Get your ace, get your ace. And
Honestly.
he goes, yes, sir, I'm on my way. And he shift W's all the way through Con, in through Cash, comes peeking out. What a pity he didn't get it, because there is so many opportunities and 1vx's on his stats that he's been able to pull out in the past few weeks. It is unbelievable. He has gone from Malusi to Bandit to now Smoke. Is there anything this man can't do?
Look, Jess, you asked me right in the beginning to test my skills, I guess, test my knowledge.
Right.
Why do you think so many people are voting for NaVi? This is why. I'm sorry. I mean, let's be honest. It's a popularity contest. And if you ask me, if I tune into this game and I see Blur schwacking people left and right in Rogue, I'm definitely going to become a NaVi fan in the moment itself. That is not a knock against Rogue and their performance. However, in those 2 rounds, if there's one thing that I would point out, it is the timing being a bit off between players. There's some sort of lack of coordination happening between the two early on in this game. And granted, it's the attacking side. It's more difficult against a team like NaVi, etc. But you gotta get it back into order ASAP. And losing those drones, so many of them early on in the round, that really can hurt you.
Absolutely. Speaking of intel collection, these quick peaks, these shoulder peaks or jiggle peaks, as some people like to call them, from Blur, it is a mechanic in its own right. He just doesn't have pure mechanical skill. He has game sense to add to the mechanical skill, which makes him absolutely dominant as a player. And I think that's why I called him one of the best pickups for NaVi. They brought in Joe and Blur at the same time. They've recently replaced Joe, and they've gone, actually, out of the 2 that we picked up, we got a gold mine in one of them, and that is Blur. So good on him. I did want to point out to the viewers as well, Rogue is an attacking-sided team on this map. And the fact that they're not winning attacks is probably quite worrisome, statistically at least.
Of course, saves here bringing the Pog mats, so save NaVi can actually get those to use. And I'm a big Frost aficionado, I'll be honest. There it is. Both windows have been locked down. I wonder where the third mat is. Probably under the hatch inside of... Is it in here? No. Oh, yeah, it is right on the jump in. So this is a position that is very well known when you're kind of vaulting in from construction, but fair enough. And Nitro, it's out. More of a blind one here, as Cryan has already gone to the window side. Bit of damage, nicking the side of Blur, but he'll be able to escape. And, well, there it is, kind of slowing things down, taking control of server around the halfway mark in the round.
This is what Team Empire did just mere maps ago or games ago of this play day, is that they said once we've reached about the halfway mark, and mind you, NaVi have given that up well before that, about 20 seconds before they had people running out, and Empire said if we can waste about half of the round by having a little bit of a cash control, that's a win for us. I think NaVi are trying to employ the same strategy there. I would often call it a meta strategy of time wasting over into cash, and now what they're going to be focusing on is getting con control. Surely they want to do a pinch push here. They've done a one-dimensional push over towards cash. That didn't work out for them, and now they're coming onto this site and doing yet another one-dimensional push. I wonder what the thought process is behind that.
Definitely a curious one here. Look at the Corey. He's trying to launch a rotation from secretly. That'll flow secretly all the way around to the opposite end of the map, where he should be able to rotate back to his teammates. Not sure if Rogue have even the manpower to give up at this point to catch him on the rotate through kitchen, just because there's such little time left. Trying to find somebody behind the desk here at the top of the hatch, and no, oh my god, Cryan loses the gunfight, but it's Blur taken down. There's not enough time to pick up Cryan. It's gonna slow you down immensely, but Corey will attempt it anyways. Save's gonna get dropped in the meantime. You see the disappointment on his face, and Leon focusing down onto the singular rotation, usually a position you'll see with a mirror window. Not possible here due to the ban. Aces peek and wide from construction. He'll get a bit of damage done on the Maestro inside a bathroom. That's Nath, but it's still a 3v5. The advantage is firmly in numbers for Rogue, but Nath is going to find one in Aces. Doki holding the rotation through the hallway. Can he find one inside of Logistics? He'll fire, and he will find Corey. The diffuser is dropped. Oh no, it's planted at the last second. And Rips will be just down instantly. Leon is on the floor, crying his last alive. Do they spot him? Yes, they know where he is. And unfortunately, he's too far away to do much with the round here. There's the shot. The confirmation secretly is down on the floor, but it does not matter. NaVi have pulled it back together. They will take the round. Man, I couldn't even keep up with what's going on. There you go. That's how difficult it is to cast.
It can be a mouthful and a half. You get out of breath in a mere second, Milosh. And I will say very, very clearly that is the closest Rogue has come to a round win on their attacking half. And you'll come back to our faces. Why? Because after losing 3 damn rounds in a row, that's probably a pretty good time to call a tactical timeout, if you ask me.
Perfect timing, honestly. There's so many teams that wait too long to actively do something about it. And you know what? If this round had gone Rogue's way, it would have been fine, and you could justify not calling the timeout. You yourself know that as an ex-coach yourself. You know, these kinds of things where you can pull your players out of the game, talk to them, see what's going on with them, and then get back into it is so important. That mental reset. And man, right now you get 4K'd, and then you lose a round when you're 5v3. You need the reset.
I think there's something to be said about these one-dimensional pushes, and I'm trying to think back to the last time that I have Rogue playing on Clubhouse, and I can't think out of the back of my memory and going, are they usually a team that likes to one-dimensionally push like this? Is there a rhyme and a rhythm to it?
They played Secret last time. That was played a 5 on Clubhouse, and they smashed them 7-1.
See, I can't remember that game in the back, and maybe I was off.
I mean, 7-1. I don't. It was a quick day that day, so I completely understand why you wouldn't remember.
They only played 2 attacks.
Yeah, so it was mostly defensive rounds. So it's possible that Rogue would be more comfy once the half switch. I don't know.
Yeah, very true. And that might just be it. And mind you, we did say that Rogue is an attacking sided team. That's statistically since November. Things definitely could have changed. You can see down the bottom of the screen, still not changing my mind. Rafale is the best flex / support EU. And if you're saying otherwise, you're smaller than Doki. Well, guess what? I am smaller than Doki.
That's true.
And I can confirm that Rafale is still one of the best flex and supports in EU. So I guess you can be a bit of both.
You know what? I can see that. Honestly, Rafael is definitely one of, it's always so difficult trying to quantify the effect of some players on the game when you don't see them on the screen, because there's so much to talk about. By the time you get to them, you don't have enough time as an analyst or a commentator to talk about it. But one thing that really strikes me is the way that NaVi are setting up on this set. You see there's a visual that is out. Doki is bringing out an Aruni as well. You got Save sitting inside of Garage. Natus playing on the top floor, still setting up with the mute. This is off-site roam. And the difficulty with this is rotating back onto site if you lose that top floor. If Rogue can find a right opening, they might not even need to fight you on the top floor. They can just push down below. Now, what are the chances of that happening? Fairly low. Requires a lot of timing. And I understand why NaVi would bank on something like this, because the only way other than gunfight that they would lose this is something that Rogue haven't really been able to conjure up in the game so far.
They are spread out like crazy across the top floor. It is unbelievable the kind of silhouettes I'm seeing on the map at the moment. Nath, he'll get lit up from Garage, and there was a few drones flying in through there. So I think Rogue are trying to work out, how do we deal with this clear? We're trying to open up the wall over towards Jacuzzi. Oh no, there's a mute jammer. We can't get a mute in. Don't worry about it. Let's zoom it elsewhere. Go over towards Garage. They got really good hits on Nath, but hits aren't good enough. You need kills. You need to down the men who are roaming. And the fact that there's a shotgun SMG-11 player roaming, that probably gives you a pretty good indication no one is on site, and if so, it's going to be one. You're better off doing this, Rogue. You're getting onto site. You've wasted too much time, and guess what? They're all back onto site. If you had made this decision 40 seconds ago, it might have been the right one.
I was going to apply the flexibility here, but yeah, it is still the timing game. Now, I like the fact that it's Aces that's leading the charge, not just because he's running AR-33 Thatcher, because that's somehow still a meme that people talk about, but he is the one that could really spearhead for you. And just as I say that, it's exactly what happens, man. Top tier here. Doki doesn't. Oh no, they just passed one another, dude.
You're holding hands.
I know
like
you
it's
don't want
Valentine's Day.
I don't want to hold anybody's hands in the toilet. I'll be honest with you, but especially not on this one here. Blur is gonna find another one, and there it is. At least Aces is down in the meantime. Corey knows what's up. Go, just get him, bro. He's easy. He's free. Oh, what? What? Are you joking? Corey is looking the wrong way. Doki collects him secretly for 2 more as Crying and Leon trying to move in from Dirt Tunnel, and it's Rips all on his own and lonesome. Sad here for Rogue as they try to rotate back down, and man, that diffuser could not be dropped in a worse position. Secretly collects a 3rd one on the Melusi, and as you said, Jess, they rotated back on site instantly.
Sheesh. That was such a weird encounter, and I'm so glad that medics caught it, because it was just this weird moment where a crouch walking Ashe is sitting there watching the flank over towards main. Then there's a crouch walking Aruni going almost a tangible triangulated, angle next to him, and no one's noticing anyone, to the point where even the Aruni is looking up the hatch. I mean, or rather the Ashe. I mean, that's how confusing it was. I don't even know which op was looking where, but they were all looking in the wrong way. Nevertheless, that is 4 rounds in a row here from NaVi. Dare I say this, Milosh, and I don't want to say it because I don't want it to come true. Dare I say that if NaVi wins the next round, does that forebode yet another crippling defeat here for Rogue? Because let's be honest, they may have been on their game for the past few games and on the upsurge, but they can very well fall back into the old Rogue that lost every single game for however many play days straight.
I honestly agree with you. I'm actually on your side completely, because I'm hoping that Rogue are not falling back. Again, it's just one game. It's not about the one game. It's about the patterns repeating from what we had early in the stage, what they are here. Because remember when we were watching like their first come up finally in stage 1, and we're thinking to one another like, this is a completely different Rogue. This is the one we know. This is how they're supposed to play. And right now with the timing that they've had versus how they were playing over the past couple of weeks, I hope that it's not just a question of nerfs, because you're in the game that can really propel you forward, and you don't want to get them too high. You don't want to be overwhelmed in this game. And I hope that they don't keep going for the mono-angular attacks that they've been kind of using in the first few rounds. There it is. I love this. This is what you're supposed to do.
Oh, Saves is in a position to get caught out by this, but it looks like he wants to actively challenge it instead. And as someone who's pretty much banged out as many assists as you can in the first 4 rounds, at least 1 assist per round, not a single kill to the name, it means that, dare I say, he can't, he struggles to finish people there, Milch.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe Civ can retreat back. You're opening a bit of a wider hole here, so Rips can't abuse the... Oh, look at this. There's a great drone from Cryan. Unfortunately, nobody's spawning it from the defenders. This is giving so much information. And Rogue doing a better job of holding on to their drones, and there's the kill from Corey. That's the opener that they needed. So important, and this will allow Corey to Ashe charge the bottom of server, pushing the bandit back, allowing the door to be, or the wall here to be opened at 1:40. Blur is so open right now. He's got to be careful. Oh, look at this. Is there a drone to confirm the position? They're flicking all through them, and the EMP should at least allow for some time. EMP's out, a bit of damage done, and Blur will destroy his own battery to be able to open up the wall. He's going to zap it. Oh, Leon at the right time. There it is. It took time, but at least the wall will be opened. That is the hope. At least forcing back the bandit and allowing the Ashe to perform and put pressure.
Oh, they will finally get that wall opened up, but it's taken 2 whole minutes. As you saw, Aces in the early round was holding the lobby down below because, well, let's be honest, there was a couple of people dancing around lounge. They had 2 drones looking at it. They did end up getting Doki, but to what avail? It means that that wall stayed closed for ever so long, gave a lot of safety to the side of NaVi, and goodbye, tight saves. The grenade will bounce in and dispatch him, but Nath, he'll trade on to Cryan straight after. And these are the trades that win teams games, is that if you can even the man count or at least collect the kills back that the opponents are, you know, slaying your way, then things look good. But they've still got one more to collect. And 3 whole players progressing onto secret of the rafters. Good night again.
What a shot onto Corey, but it's not enough. Aces will be able to confirm the kill. Now, Rips is holding a very important position. It clears any rotations. Just in case people want to get aggressive here against Rogue, you got to open up this wall ASAP. Aces just in time. They'll move up, and will they plant? Leon has to get something down. Blur is fighting red around the desk, and Leon will push up. He'll lose it. They'll go for the gunfights when you could have just planted in a safe location around the door. Oh, no. Another W.
Oh no is putting it lightly there. Why did you not plant? I mean, okay, ring a rosy around box in the middle of cash, but oh no. That is not what you do in a situation where you could probably just go plant deep in corner, hope that your players rush in behind and get the kills that they need. That is a 5-round perfect, flawless half so far for NaVi. They win the next one. Not only do they have a flawless defensive half, they put themselves on a match point, and Rogue are reeling right now. If you look at how many kills they've got, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I mean, I think there's a couple of players on the side of NaVi that have more than that collectively.
It's very unfortunate, I gotta say. What is the saving grace? I guess keep praying right now. I don't know.
I was like, do you have one?
I'm trying to look for it. Look, the big problem is still the timing, because at this level of Siege, and this is a bit difficult to understand because it gets a bit really metagaming and philosophical. But if you're trying to compete at this level, okay, there are some things that you need to do in a certain amount of time, an allotted amount of time, where you're reacting and interacting with the map and with your opponents. Great nade, by the way.
It was beautiful.
If you coordinate with your teammates and with the information that you're gathering with your drones, then you see these rounds that suddenly become immensely one-sided. A lot of kills going very quickly to one team or the other. These are things that you could only accomplish when everybody is on the same vibe, and that is just not the case right now with Rogue and NaVi. It's not like they're doing anything special. They're holding on to their locations, doing things standard, and Rogue are mistiming or pushing into one location solo, or, you know, pushing one after the other, presenting themselves as easy kills, losing drones very early on. These are things that you can't afford to do against a team like NaVi, as we can clearly see. And honestly, I love those Haruni gates. Those Surya gates are positioned in so frustrating places, but look at this. Rips a beautiful shot with the Type 89 through the drone hole and down onto Secretly. Another great opening.
Oh no, they needed to have drone this because guess what? Secretly was the only person inside of Cash. They do have a cross angle over towards it, and Saves could abuse that if he wants to when they run into Cash. But for the most part, it was just little lonely Secretly. And now that they do get the drones out, they don't need to waste any more of their utility. They can take it for free. It took them less than half the round, and they got a kill for their trouble. This is probably the most confident round, at least in the early round that we've seen here from Rogue. But Saves is in a prime position there with one of the strongest weapons on the side of defense. It's not a shotgun, and he could make some serious damage if they don't drone him out carefully. There we go. Saves will shoot out that drone and confirm that there is pressure, and they'll start to pre-fire out towards it. My problem is now, we spoke about them doing that one-dimensional push. They've decided to go against it. Finally, it's taken them 5 rounds to work. That one-dimensional doesn't necessarily work, and this is the pinch pressure we wanted from Rogue.
That's what's supposed to happen. Even if you're not going to push with like 2-3 players on the Jacuzzi side, you're at least pulling your opponent's attention away from you, right? That's the whole point of doing it. And Doki immediately reinforcing. Look at that, leaving a reinforcement in the back pocket just in case. Can we just appreciate, oh, nice shot from Aces, but appreciate for a second the beautiful play that we get to see finally with those rotations with the global pool. Doki will find another one on Aces, but it's still a big advantage for Rogue for the first time ever. Doki collects another one onto Cryan, checking quickly into Jim, but he's forced himself in this position. He has reinforced that entry into the bathroom. Nate from below, can he go for the impacts? He only has one of them. The Evil Eye will go out. He'll do a bit of damage to Leon, but it's a bit too late. Oh, the Pogmats!
No.
Can we get a Pogmat in chat? There it is. Rips is down. Nate will at least collect that. There's an impact still in the back pocket. but what can he do? Retakes on Clubhouse, especially on the top floor, are notoriously difficult. So he's just clearing out any drones that he can get. There's not much that he can find. They'll hear him going through the barbed wire on the top floor, quick peeking around the corner, and he's not going to find anybody just in case there's a Claymore out there. There it is, finds the thermite, but Corey instantly doming him in the head. Well done by Rogue, and finally we get to see the round on the board. And what was the major difference, Jess? Please fill my head with that knowledge.
Common denominator, Milosh. Pinch pushing. Is that a good, that's like a deep American accent. I can't do accents very well other than my own.
Look,
clearly.
I'm told that if you don't have a Midwestern accent, you are not supposed to be a commentator. I don't know how I have an American accent personally, but I will chop that up to cartoons. Otherwise, imagine if I had like a British accent. That would be amazing.
You wouldn't be Milosh then. You wouldn't be the Milosh I know and love.
I'd be Milosh, bruv.
Oh, never do that again. Somebody clip that, and I'm putting that on my stream as my sub
don't
sound.
Plan on
Milosh,
going to. I don't plan on going to the UK anytime soon. So that's right.
That was brilliant.
Get me a bottle of water.
We had medics in our ears, you know, commenting on that one as well. So that's how good that one was. Nevertheless, we do have to highlight that being Rogue's first round win, and now that they get to start off that momentum on the defense now, is probably pretty good for them. I did say they're an attacking-sided team. I do think that NaVi's defenses were very impenetrable, especially when they were employing a one-dimensional push. Common denominator last round was they changed that up. Good on Rogue, but it's a little late now. They only have how many points do they want to get? I have to work out the standings. Take over for me here, Milosh, but I got to do a little bit of mathematics while I work a couple of things out.
Go ahead. So I'm going to do the color situation here. So what's going to happen is the monster's going to go up and make sure nobody goes into that toilet room again, because that was awful. The last time we saw anybody moving in that area. Ace is going to walk on back down to site. You see the opening in the wall there. It's actually a very humongous opening on purpose. Why? Because you're watching your opponents dropping from the hatch. It is easier to do that now than it ever has been before, with the slightest changes that we had on the map. And I like these small changes to be added more and more to the game, because these are not changes that require, ages to implement, really, but they would have a significant impact on the game so far. Rips is going to fall back, putting as many goo mines on the floor, as Jess is looking for the right numbers for us in this one. And Blur has already set himself up at the top of the stairs, Doki contesting, but it's all for the usual map control.
Well, I was looking on through it, and Rogue desperately need these 3 points today. NaVi don't. They could take away with 2 and be relatively safe in the top 4, but Rogue they wouldn't be. If they don't take out a secure flat 3 points today, would require them winning the next 5 rounds in a row, and then, of course, not going to OT, so not even 5. They need 6 rounds in a row. I mean, that is an incredible reverse sweep from a team. It is a lot to ask of a team, but NaVi, if they walked away with only 2 in the overtime, they'd be okay, but Rogue, they would need 6 rounds in a row here, Milosh, just to appropriately stay in the top 4.
That is a lot of work for them to do. And against NaVi, it cannot get more difficult than that, really. It can only get more difficult if you're playing BDS. That's for later. Oh, the perfect timing on the Nitro from Aces will drop saves on the floor, but Cryan is going to be felled. And that's a good play from the Habana, checking inside of Moto. And Rips standing in the back of Armory. Leon and the rest are on site. But if you're not finishing off saves, you're at least pulling as much time away of NaVi as possible. But you want to confirm that kill when you can. Goo mines are being popped everywhere. Doki will look to pressure with support into blue.
Some really good drones coming out from Secretly. This is something that I don't think people understand, is that Secretly does a job that you don't often get to see unless you watch the minutiae of a round. He also manages to frag out, and he'll take out 2 for the trouble. Double headshot, yes please. Blur will follow suit. He'll take out Corey, and it's all up to Leon. He's got a breadstick at the moment, and he'll make it a double. Now he's going to have to push his way on through, finish off Nath, and hope that he can get the rest, because with 15 seconds left, he could be the playmaker. Diffuser has dropped down on the door. thought of Moto here, but there are so many players he has to contend with. Surely there was a drone, and yes, there was. If he can't win this, it's all over Rogue. They won't get the 3 points because NaVi have propelled themselves on a match point. All they can hope for now is that they get enough rounds to propel themselves into overtime. And I think that me speaking like that as a molehill when it's actually a mountain is enough for the viewers to realize that this might be an impossible task.
It certainly looks like it. Honestly, man, this is getting really tough for Rogue in this game. If you ask me, this is not me like trying to be harsh or anything. This is just the reality of it. And thing is, we don't need to tell the players this sort of stuff or their coaches. They know all this way before we say it. But the issue is the coordination that we've been seeing from Rogue over the past few weeks is not present in this game right now, unfortunately. There's been some good plays individually. There's been the one round that Rogues won where they actually coordinated correctly and pressured in the right way. But I fear that they had lost too much too early in the first half for them to recover now that they're on the defense.
Wow, people will want some high-level analysis as to why Rogue has gone from king to being crushed here against NaVi. Mind you, NaVi is the top 2 rated team in all of EUL. If it wasn't going to be BDS that did it, who's next in line to serve up a plate of absolute domination of Rogue? It's probably going to be NaVi. And I think a lot of people have been doubting NaVi because they don't usually sit necessarily in the top 3. We saw them during their domination when they first came in from Challenger League upwards. They're pretty much a brand new team now, and for the most part, how they performed last season, I don't think is anywhere near as reminiscent as what they're performing now. So I do think that the scoreline is representative of NaVi being a top 2 team. I just don't think Rogue necessarily expected this, maybe.
You know, Rogue are playing G2 and Trainhard in the last 2 Oh my god, there it is! Aces out of strip will find the kill on Blur, and you know what? That's gonna put a bit of tilt in you, despite the fact that it's 6-1. It's at least something that Rogue will have to work with. Keep in mind that Rogue have been at least downing early in the rounds. However, they've failed sometimes in securing kills or have lost a player to a quick refrag, which is unfortunate for them. Doki is prying through the bar, not an unusual place to find him, and Aces is at the bottom of the stairs just in case he prepares for a peek through billiards. There's a drone coming in. This will be the cue for Aces to back up and check the bathroom here real quick before falling to the top of the stairs. Not too shabby. Pulling time as much away as possible away from NaVi.
I'm wondering what Doki's job is below here. Is he just to stop anyone coming down for C4s? Is he to stop any flanks or rotates? Is that his job? Because if so, I mean, he's in a prime position to do it, and he's been hitting his shots, currently 7 and 4. And well, I know it's been the Blur show, but secretly, Nate, they are all showing up. The only player that hasn't necessarily showed up is Saves. And well, he's actually done quite a bit of damage, 6 assists. So you can't say there's not a player on the side of NaVi who isn't showing up. And there we go, secretly having one of the best games of this season. Oh, good night, sleep tight, Aces. That was a flick. And that's absolutely going to go on a replay. You can guarantee it if we have anything to say about it, because secretly he has been showing up. The support players who have been boasting big ratings, talk about Bride from last year and this year as being Chaoxus, secretly wants a bit of that pie.
I'm sorry, secretly might just be the old man of plays, but he's already collected 2. He's down on the floor, but it's fine. He'll get picked up in just a moment, and NaVi have a lot of time to work with. Some teams like to run the Maestro through the double drone hole to kind of watch what's on the opposite end and get somebody on the top of Jacuzzi, but that won't be the case here for this one. Doki sneaking up the stairs, but there's already somebody waiting for him here. I believe it's Cryan on the Legion. The Wubs will give away his location, and there it is. You gotta fall back, you gotta destroy it. At least support your teammates in the entry. Corey will find 1 kill, but it saves on the refrag, and Cryan, there it is for 1, but he's left all alone versus the 2 of Saves. And Nath, great frag on a Saves now, and it's Nath preoccupied with the plant. Where is he? In the middle of Gym. Ryan will rush on in. He's checking the side. He does a lot of damage. The goo mine is set in Nathan's foot, and he has to run away from this one. He's going to take the double damage. Can Ryan run out? He can't. Oh, no, he's got to be careful. I'm not sure if there's a Claymore on the outside or not. Got to confirm. There's one out. That's what you need. The second impact is out. He's looking the wrong way. No, Nath will collect the last kill, and NaVi will be victorious. The goo mine that almost saved the day. Was he just a bit faster crying, but unfortunately won't be the case. It'll be NaVi collecting a huge 7-1 victory against Rogue on Clubhouse, keeping in mind that the same thing Rogue did to their opponents a few play days ago. A huge game here, and a revenge, I guess, for Secret has been served.
Oh, a scoreline I don't think anyone predicted going into this matchup. Rogue, we spoke about it before, Milosh. We